appropriated funds, Treasury will be...
Is this going to be a yes or no? Yes or no? Or you can say, I'm not going to answer. Now move on.
Number 3.
Okay, so let the record show that he refuses to answer a question. No, we're not going to do that with me. We are not going to do that with me.
As the Secretary of the Treasury, that's an important... No, this is my time. I haven't asked you any more questions. I haven't asked you any more questions,
It's the gentleman from Massachusetts.
I'm trying to get to my next question.
Could you speak a little louder? I can't hear you.
Again, I want to be clear, so just let me ask you, are tariffs inflationary, yes or no?
According to the San Francisco Federal Reserve, with 150 years of data,
yes or no?
Tariffs do not cause inflation. San Francisco Federal Reserve.
Well, last November, as the Trump administration finally began to realize that affordability issues, levied tariffs on housing production goods like lumber and steel, as well as appliances. These tariffs will result in half.
Lumber is
reclaiming my time. You don't get to talk.
Lumber is at a 5-year low, Congresswoman.
Reclaiming my time.
A study
yes
from
no?
Morgan University.
Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Was 10 and 20 million immigrants.
Can you shut up?
Let me start with something most people recognize immediately. Have you ever noticed that when someone actually knows what they're talking about, I mean, really knows what they're talking about, that's usually the moment they start getting interrupted? And I'm not talking about getting corrected. I'm not talking about getting challenged with better information. I'm talking about interrupted. There's a big difference between a debate and a disruption. And lately, what we're watching, especially in politics and media, isn't debate at all. It's simply controlled chaos. And of course, the goal is not clarity. No, the goal is prevention. Prevention of understanding. Prevention of context. Prevention of the audience hearing something that might complicate the narrative they've already been fed. Here's the trick. When someone doesn't want a message to land, when someone doesn't want a message to get out, they don't argue the substance. They attack the process. They reclaim their time. They demand yes or no answers to complex questions. They raise their voice. They start screaming and hollering. They change the topic. They accuse. They perform outrage. Why? Because if the person speaking finishes the thought, the audience might actually be enlightened. They might actually learn something. And that's the real threat. You'll notice this pattern everywhere once you see it. The person with less knowledge suddenly becomes the loudest person in the room. And it's not because they're confident. No, it's because they're cornered. When you don't have an answer, noise becomes your shield. And the louder the noise, the less likely the public is to follow the logic. This is where hypocrisy comes in. The same people who constantly say the public deserves transparency are often the ones most aggressively blocking explanations. They demand simple answers, not because the truth is simple, but because simple answers are easier to weaponize. You see, a clipped sentence can be replayed over and over and over again. Half-thought can be reframed. A force yes or no can be turned into a headline. A full explanation? No, that's dangerous. So instead of letting someone explain how a system works, they manufacture tension. Instead of letting an expert walk through the cause and effect, they interrupt with accusations. Instead of letting data speak, they drown it out with emotion. And here's a point that most people miss. This is not about winning an argument. This is about controlling what the audience is allowed to process. Because knowledge has a very funny little side effect. Knowledge reduces fear. Knowledge disrupts outrage. Knowledge makes people harder to manipulate. And that's the last thing a narrative-driven system wants. You see, a calm, informed public doesn't panic on command. A calm, informed public doesn't react to buzzwords. A calm, informed public starts asking inconvenient questions. So what happens instead? We get performance. We get people yelling about procedure. We get people arguing about tone. We get people pretending to be offended. We get people talking about the conversation instead of having the conversation. Anything to keep the focus off the actual information, because the moment the audience starts thinking, the spell breaks. You can see it in hearings. You can see it in interviews. You can see it in YouTube panel discussions. The second someone says, let me explain why that assumption is wrong, the interruptions begin. Why? Because explanations threaten shortcuts, and shortcuts are how narratives survive. This is also why expertise is suddenly framed as arrogance. Have you noticed that? Knowing more is treated like a crime. Understanding systems is treated like elitism. Explaining nuance is treated like dodging. But it's not arrogant to know what you're talking about. It's not dodging to refuse a false choice, and it's certainly not disrespectful to insist on finishing a sentence. What is disrespectful is assuming the public can't handle complexity. You see, that's the quiet insult buried underneath all the noise. The assumption that regular people, like me, are too dumb to understand how things actually work. So instead, we get slogans. So instead, we get manufactured outrage. We get theater, and the truth gets talked over. Here's the part that really matters. If someone truly believed that they were right, they wouldn't need to interrupt. If someone truly believed that the facts were on their side, they wouldn't need to shout. If someone truly believed that the public would agree with them, they would let the explanation happen. You see, silencing is a confession. Silencing is an admission that hearing the full picture might change minds. That's why this isn't just a political issue. This is a media issue. This is a power issue. This is a control issue. And once you recognize the tactic, you start seeing it everywhere. Whenever someone starts yelling instead of listening, whenever they start talking over instead of responding to, whenever they try to rush an answer that clearly requires context, that's your signal. That's your signal, but it's not a signal that they're winning. No, it's a signal that they're losing control of the narrative. So the next time you see a moment like this, don't just watch the argument. Watch who is being prevented from finishing a thought. Watch when the interruptions begin. Watch how quickly facts get replaced with emotion. Because this is the thing. Truth does not need volume. Truth simply needs time. And the people most afraid of it are the ones who refuse to give it a minute.